Hello everyone and welcome to Late Night Chat with Sebastian, episode 3 I believe. I got my tea here. I'm so grateful that you guys are loving these late night chats where I give you advice, I do a story time, and I'm so grateful that some of you find my voice soothing, and I'm grateful that you guys are falling asleep to my videos, and I'm just grateful that I can provide you with some peace when there's so much anxiety all over. So tonight you are getting a very highly requested story time. I have shared this one in the past, but I believe it has now been deleted. And it's about my first boyfriend. So, grab tea. Oh, I have to sneeze, bitch. Hang on one second. That wasn't very ASMR, bitch, but you know what? I'm real and I keep it real, okay? So I have two peppermint and two tea time. I have some candles in the background, and get cozy, grab a snack, grab a drink. This video was very highly requested, and it's about my first boyfriend, and it's a very sweet, innocent video. So if you guys are cozy enough, let's start. I'm gonna drink some tea. I love tea. All right, so this was back in Denmark, and I was probably 16 years old. In my school, there was, remember I told you guys it was half international and then half Danish. And in the international and Danish side, the only time you would get really together is if there was like a dance. Well, remember I told you guys in my previous video when I was in love with my straight friend, this was around that same time. So, this all started when I was in school and I had a friend, and it was really weird because like I never really came out. Like I never told anyone I was gay. I think they just like assumed, so it was just probably easier for me. But there was a school dance coming up, and she told me that there was this guy and that he was gay and he really wanted to meet me, that he's seen me like in the lunch area and whatever. Well, I knew there was a dance coming up, and I knew that I was gonna bump into him. She pointed him out, and we went to the school dance. And this was the same dance, if you guys remember, where I had a huge fight with my friend. But anyways, okay. So we went to the dance, and we were getting a little turned on Smirnoff Ice. And mind you, the drinking age in Denmark is like 15 or 16. So I was coming from Miami where it's like 21, right? So I was feeling so badass. Like I was feeling like, yes, bitch, you know, I was feeling good. Jax. Anyways, so my girlfriend at the time, my really good friend, she was having a sort of after party at her house. Well, all I remember is that like we were dancing and whatever, and that he comes up to me and he says hello, and he basically just like was kind of silent. Like he didn't say anything. He just said hello. And I was like, hi, how are you? Blah, blah. And then my friend, she comes up to me. She was like, he's super shy. And I was like, okay, girl. Well, I mean, what can we do? And she was like, well, he's coming to my party. And I was like, okay, no problem. And I will always remember this ride home. We were walking to her house from school. But I will always cherish this memory because I just remember I had music on my phone, It was like maybe 14 of us. I was, there was like a bike. Someone was on a bike. Someone was on like a, like a basket, but it was like a very large basket. They were riding that. Like, it was just such a mess, you guys, but it was so beautiful. Now that I think about how innocent and fun it was. On the way there, he did try and talk to me, and he did, you know, try and, you know, get to know me a little more. I guess he had a little more liquid courage. Well, we got to my friend's house, and it was in the basement. And we were there, we were like having a great time. And I just remember, like, I finally felt like I was fitting in, because for the longest time, I felt like people were very nice to me, and you can say I was popular, but I feel like no one really got to know me, but they got to just, I think were just like, Jax. I think they were just like in love with the idea that I was American, right? Well, anyways, so he actually offered to walk me home. I was super drunk, I remember that. And I remember walking home with him, and I just remember feeling these butterflies. Like, I've had crushes before, you guys, but like, I've never been able to act on my feelings. So this was like the first time I was able to, but when I say act on my feelings, I meant acknowledge, here he is. Here's the big boy. What you doing? Oh, he likes to lay next to me. Look at that. I don't know if you can, okay, anyways. So he actually walked me home, and I later found out that he was actually her neighbor, and I lived nowhere near her. So the fact that he walked me home meant a lot. So this is a little bit blurry about the phone numbers. I don't believe I gave him my phone number. I believe the next day she gave him my phone number. And I just remember like him and I texting quite a lot. Unfortunately, you guys, I don't remember very well my first date with him, and it's so sad. I'm guessing it was a friend hangout, because I'm pretty sure it was not like a dinner. I don't remember what we were doing, but I do remember what happened after. So it must have been like a friend movie night or something. Like, we went to the movies. It had to be something. Like, I don't remember if we went to a dinner or we went, but I remember that it was with friends. And all I remember from that night was him and I and like other friends, we snuck into a graveyard, and people were making out, and him and I had not kissed yet, but people were making out, and we were just talking, and I do remember that we were like holding hands as we were laying down, and everyone was like making out, and we did not kiss. He was my first kiss. So I was very nervous. I was so nervous, so nervous. And I do then remember that a couple days after or something, my parents, they went on a trip, and I believe it was like to Italy or something. So I do remember that I had him over with my friend and someone else, and I think we made like dinner, and I think we also like we snuck into my parents' liquor cabinet and like got a little drunk. And my first kiss was so sweet, you guys. It was so innocent, honestly. I was so nervous because I never kissed anyone before, and I was like super nervous. So he was leaving, and I said, I'll walk you out. So while I was walking him out, we like looked at each other and I'm like, oh my god, this is it, this is it, this is it. And I'm like super nervous, you guys, because I'm like, that's not ASMR. Let's wait until that shit passes. I watch so many romantic comedies, you know, The Princess Diaries, when she gets her first kiss and her leg lifts up. So I was expecting something like that. Well, our first kiss, I think, was super awkward. I later found out that it was his first kiss too. So we like tried, I mean, we kissed, I think. And I just remember like opening my eyes and I'm like, was that good? I just remember like asking him if it was good and he said that it was really good. And he asked me, was it good? And I was like, yeah, it was good. And then I just remember him and I always riding home from work, from school. He would drop me off. I remember hanging out a lot. Like I remember then after we shared our first kiss, for some reason we would always like break into the graveyard, my friends, and it was so odd. And the thing is, the graveyard was with a lot of it was like in a park, so it was like a lot of like green. So the whole point was to go in there and like just lay down, look at the stars, and make out. So after we had our first kiss, then we would go there and make out. Well, we were then going to let me just think a little bit. He asked me to be his boyfriend. He introduced me to his family. I believe he had a younger brother. Okay, we had our first sleepover. So listen to this. Obviously, I was a virgin. And so was he. And the one thing I did make very clear to him was that I was not going to be pressured into doing anything. Like, we had kissed a lot, and of course, you know, we would get very, like, turned on, and we would, like, you know, caress each other over our clothes, but it was never to, you know, that point. And there was many times where I think he wanted to deflower me, but we were taking it semi-slow. Well, we started having sleepovers. My mom did not know he was my boyfriend, and his family did know I was his boyfriend. Now, the reason I didn't tell my mom, my whole family is the most open family ever. I'm so grateful that they grew up with gay guys, like best friends, and they worked with them. Like, in that time, they were very inclusive with everyone. Like, they would accept everyone. So for me, it was very easy to come out to them, which I'm so grateful for. I know not everyone has that blessing. And I just remember going to his house and his parents being so sweet, his parents being so nice to me and fascinated that I was American. Everyone was always so fascinated about that, asking me about politics, asking me about Bush, or I don't know who was president, to be honest. Like all these things, and I'm just like, you know. And then I just remember that like his parents were going away, and he told me that if I wanted to go spend the weekend with him. And I do remember that his parents went, but his brother stayed, I believe. And his brother was like super cool, like super nice. So I just remember I remember going in and feeling like, oh my god, I think this is gonna be it. He's going to deflower me. Like, I'm not gonna be like innocent anymore. You know what I mean? I'm like, my grandpa's looking at me from heaven. Like, oh my god, I don't know how to do this. You know, it was like a lot of pressure. And I just remember like the first night we were, you know, in bed, and I was like, so, and like we would cuddle, and like watch like old VHS tapes and movies and whatever. And like his whole thing was talking. Like I remember we could lay in his bed with the lights off. And I just remember that I was always so cold because, bitch, I'm from Miami. And in Denmark is fucking freezing. And I actually still remember the feeling of cold under the covers and him holding on to me for dear life. Like, I remember that, you know, like you remember these things because it was your first everything. And the thing with him is that he was always so respectful. You have no idea. I mean, listen, bitch, I could turn him on like it was nobody's business, and now I'd be like, okay, get off me. Do you know what I mean? Like blue balls hell that the boy was in. Well, we did not do it then. We actually waited a couple months, and his parents left for work. We skipped school, and we did it. I have to say, obviously, without too many details, it was as comfortable as possible. But the one thing I just remember, you guys, was he was so sweet and he was so kind to me. And I guess after we did it, he, you know, he fell head over heels, like head over heels. But for me, it started getting too much. I started feeling very bombarded. I started feeling very, like it was just a lot, you know? It was a lot. And for some reason, I started feeling like I couldn't do much without him getting mad. Like, if I wanted to have a girls' night, which was basically inviting 3 friends of mine to my house and cooking and watching Sex and the City and having them sleep over without him was like the biggest mess in the world. And I don't blame him. We're so young then, you know, like whatever. But looking back, I do remember feeling very overwhelmed with the arguments, having to explain myself. Why didn't I text you back? Why didn't I call you? It just got too much for me. And on top of it, like, you know, I didn't think there was an issue at all. I was very happy. But he always had he always found something to argue about. And girl, once you get me started, honey, I will argue right back. Okay. So I just felt very like overwhelmed with him. I do remember that we did end up breaking up. And I remember he did not talk to me for a very long time. And I remember that I moved on, left the school, you know, did what I had to do. And we actually did end up hooking up a couple times, like 2 years later, which he got into a very serious relationship. They got married, and then they got divorced. And then right the time I was actually also getting out of a relationship with the guy I first moved into with. And that's another story time, you guys. If you want to hear that, let me know in the comments. But it was a very traumatic story. But I don't mind talking about it. So just let me know if you want to hear it. But anyways, I do remember. So this was 2 years later, right? I was getting out of a relationship, and so was he. Listen, you guys, I remember this night like it was yesterday. I remember being at home, my first apartment by myself. And I remember I was obsessed with Potential Breakup Song. And I was fucking blasting it like it was nobody's business, honey. I was just like, it took too long, it took too long. You know, I was just like, because I was going through a breakup too. So I just remember that I lived in like the same neighborhood as he did. And I was like, oh my God, he lives literally like 5 minutes away. So I made myself a Cosmo because I was so into Sex in the City back in the day. So I made myself a Cosmo and I ended up texting him. And I was like, hey, if this is your number, call me. It's Sebastian. And I was like, he's not gonna, you know. And I was in the middle of a concert, bitch, with Potential Breakup Songs. So I was like with my Cosmo. I had boxes everywhere because I just moved into this apartment, moving out from with, you know, my ex. Like it was like a lot. Well, he calls me back and we start talking. And he's like, where are you? And I'm like, I told him the address. And he was like, oh my God, that's so close to me. And I was like, yeah, I know. What are you doing? And it was like 2 a.m. He's like, I mean, I can come over if you want. I was like, okay, sure. Yes. Um, well, it's so funny because he came over and girl, listen, I am not, you know, Santa Sebastian, okay? I knew what was gonna happen. But he called me and he's like, hey, get in the car. Let's go for a drive. And I was like, okay. So we went for a drive and I just remember I was driving around the city, blah, blah, blah. And like, you know, being cute. And we're just talking like a lot. Talking about his divorce, about my breakup and like, and I started like seeing him, and you guys know like when you're breaking up with someone, you automatically want a rebound. And I started like, I just remember being in the passenger seat looking at him and thinking like, I mean, he's here. Why don't I just like date him again? Like, he was my first boyfriend. Maybe this is it. So I looked at him like, you know what? Why did we ever break up? And he was like, we're very young. Well, I said, well, we're not young anymore. I mean, we're still very young. I was like fucking 20. I'm like, well, we're not that young anymore. Maybe, you know, we should give it a try. And he looked at me, he's like, are you serious? And I was like, I mean, I just remember saying, like, we're both fucked up. So why not? He's like, well, maybe. So he came into my apartment. Okay. Okay. He revisited the old yellow brick road. He knew his way around. Well, so when that happened, we both slept, and I just remember feeling that warmth again. And just really, all these feelings came back. And I was like, oh my God, like, we need to date. But I know now, looking back, that I was just very heartbroken over my ex. And I wanted to feel warmth. I wanted to feel love. That, you know, that I haven't for a bit. And we did talk about it, and you know, we were like, this probably isn't healthy. We're both getting out of a relationship, and he actually told me that he still had somewhat of hope that he and his ex would get back together. So I just remember laying there and knowing it would be the last time that we would be intimate. And I just remember feeling so sad, and I still remember me laying on his chest. I remember this because he would always like physically put my head on his chest, like it was our thing. And I just remember thinking, it was morning already, and I just remember thinking, this is the last time. This is the last time with my first boyfriend. And our goodbye was, it was interesting. We hugged a very long time. He knew it, I knew it. And the thing is, you guys, like, I wasn't sad about him. It was sweet to be with him again. It was sweet to feel him and his warmth again. It was safe. It reminded me of school. It reminded me of our innocence. But it wasn't him that I was sad about. I was sad about the situation I was in with my ex. I was sad that I, broke up with someone and that we weren't together anymore. So I do remember that years later, maybe 2 or 3, I don't remember. But I do remember that I moved to Copenhagen, and I believe he did as well. And we did bump into each other one time, and we did not say hello. Which, till this day, I still wonder if it was because I was with my mom, or was it because I didn't say hi first, or did he not recognize me? Because I did recognize and I saw him, or he just didn't want to. As my first relationship, I'm grateful that I was with someone who treated me well, who was so sweet. He had his flaws, I had my flaws, but it was the perfect first time. And this is so TMI, but like, we didn't have lube. We had to use olive oil from the kitchen, bitch. Girl. We were so young. But it was so nice, you guys. And like, I can sit here now, years later, I'm married. This was so long ago, but I can sit here and still feel grateful for that time and for that innocence, because I know not a lot of gay kids get that opportunity to live out a somewhat normal high school love relationship. You get me? So it was just so sweet. And I don't know anything about him. I don't know where he is. I don't know anything. I haven't tried Facebook. I haven't tried Instagram. For me, you guys, and I'll be very honest, I don't look back at things. I visit from time to time, like I'm doing now, and visit with gratitude and visit with all the love in the world. But after I'm done with this video, I do understand and accept and want it that way, that the past is the past. And the people in my past, they were there for that time because it was intended to be there. We were there together. But I don't really think about him. I said this story because I read a comment saying, share your first love, because I did talk about my first crush, which turned out to be a straight guy. So I wanted to share it with you guys. But it's one of those things where I'm grateful it happened. I'm grateful to have met him. I hope he's doing amazing. I send him all the love in the world and the happiness and light. And if for some odd reason he's watching, thank you for being so sweet and for being the perfect first boyfriend. I think your firsts are such a mess. You know what I mean? And I wouldn't have wanted with anyone else but him, because we were both such a damn mess. And I think it just worked perfectly. So yeah, that was my cute little story time. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Let me know what you want me to talk about next. If you want me to talk about maybe like an advice video, or some more energy manifestation, another story time, just let me know what you want in the comments. I hope you enjoyed this video with my heart. I hope you enjoyed, and thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for supporting this little series. And maybe not a lot of people click on it, but I'm grateful for those who do click on it, and I hope you really did enjoy it, and I would love to know what you want to hear next. So cheers to you. I love you. I'm grateful for you. And thank you for watching. You know, I kind of felt like Lizzie McGuire going back to like my high school days. Guys, I was such a mess back then. Anyways, I love you. See, once you open the little memory box, like other things just come flying in. Nothing bad with him. Oh, wow. I was cool, but I was so awkward. I had a phase where, like, I would say that's hot. I literally swore I was Paris Hilton. I was like, that's hot. Sana sa, sana sa. If you guys know what that is from, let me know. Sana sa, sana sa, sana sa, sana sa, sana sa. Like, okay, really quick. I used to, when I was younger, play the Simple Life character that Paris and Nicole did. Like, I would ask the most dumb questions. Like, I remember I went up in my physics class and I literally went up and said, hey, Mr. So-and-so, do girls have bladders? And like, everyone was laughing. Like, I would get things wrong on purpose. Like, oh my God, I'm so cringy, you guys. And I would just be like, that's hot. Like, I literally, because they were so obsessed with like the American thing that I was like pretending I was like Regina George. And I was like, but like, I was like also Catty Heron, and like Paris. Like, I was trying so hard. I'm like, damn, you were playing so many characters. What about who you were? Damn, I need a psychologist. Anyways, I gotta go. I love you. I'm gonna go watch Blossom or, oh, The New Adventures of Old Christine. I think I'm gonna watch that. But I love you guys so much. I hope you enjoyed this blast from the past. And I'll see you guys tomorrow. Bye. I said live. Oh, maybe I'll go live tomorrow. You never know.